Hello, my name is Scott Chacon. I'm the CEO of GitButler. Today, we're going to go over a quick overview of how to use GitButler, sort of the general workflow, a lot of the features, how to use it to manage your projects, how to use it as your Git GUI. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start by importing a new project, and we're going to try writing some features, integrating some features, getting some changes from upstream, and seeing kind of how to manage your work in GitButler. So let's go ahead and open something. So the first thing that you'll see when you add a new project to GitButler is that you need to set a target branch. And so this is going to be sort of production, like whatever's upstream, whatever origin master, origin main, whatever you're using. In this case, it's origin main. You can kind of choose which branch you want to use. We can also use some GitButler features. So there's some cool AI tools that we can use to help you write your commit messages or your branch names. You can also authenticate through GitHub, and then we can help you open pull requests and merge pull requests. So let's go ahead and move forward. You choose how you want to use Git. If you have Git on your path already, if you're already using Git, should be fairly easy. And you're ready to go. What we have here is we have sort of a blank slate. There's no branches that we're working on, and so we're going to start introducing some changes and see how to manage that work in GitButler. So I'm going to cheat a bit, and I applied a stash. I have some changes that I had saved, and we're going to see kind of what does this look like. So first thing that we want to do probably is change sort of the default branch name. We just come up with a random branch name for you, but you can say, my changes. The other thing that you can do is you can have AI generate a branch name if you'd like to. What I want to show is how to separate these into different branches that you're working on simultaneously. So in this case, I've changed sort of the background color from a gray to whatever color this is, a beautiful green. And we want to put that in its own branch. And then the other thing that we've done here is we've added a little div here and done a copy change. So let's go ahead and split that up, those three things up into three different commits on two different branches. So the first thing we want to do is we can drag some of these changes over into another lane, and it creates a new branch. And so now I'm actually on two branches at the same time, and I can commit into either of these as I go. So if I want to come in here and I want to commit this, again, I can use AI to sort of generate a commit message if I want. And I can commit into that branch. And here I have some unsaved changes, and I can start a commit, and I can even partially commit if I only want to do, say, this new area. And let's say this one now I want to commit as copy changes. So now I have three different commits, two on one branch and one on another, and I can create pull requests based off of them independently. So let's go ahead and create a pull request off of that one. Let's go ahead and create a pull request off of this one. Again, I can use AI to sort of generate these pull request descriptions if you're a little bit lazy, but you also don't have to. So now I have two pull requests off of these two branches. Now let's do some fun stuff. Let's go ahead and modify this commit. So I want to change this background color to something different. So I go into my editor. I'm going to change this background color again to something a little bit nicer, hopefully. So that's a little bit nicer. Okay, so I have my updated background color, and I want to put that into the branch that I'm on. Now, the interesting thing about GitButler is that it really does treat these as two separate branches that are both applied at the same time. So, but you can also do a lot of fun rebasing stuff and editing stuff. So if we go in here, we change the background color, we can go ahead, you can see that it's locked because I'm changing something that was already in that branch that was modified, but I can amend the previous commit by just dragging this file down and putting it on the commit, and that amends the commit. So if you've ever done more complicated sort of interactive rebases or git commit -- amend, you can literally just drag and drop changes. So now this is what our background color looks like in our new branch. Now the interesting thing is I can unapply this branch, just this branch, right? And it will take this change out of my working. So if I unapply this and I go back, it's changed the background color, right? And then I can come back in and I can reapply it to get my background color back. So it's just like branching, except I can do multiple things. So the other change here has this new area, which is this it's pretty block. And again, I can do the same thing. I can just unapply this lane, and the it's pretty goes away. I can unapply this lane, the background color goes away. So it's just like branches, right? But I can put multiple of them in at the same time. So let's put them both back in. Now, the other nice thing is if you go to GitHub and you look at the pull requests that these have created, it only introduces the change in that lane, right? So they're both applied in my working directory at the same time, but being able to work in these virtual branches lets you split your work out into separate lanes. One of the other things you can do is called stacked branches. So while we can do commits next to each other that are not dependent, we can also create branches that are dependent on each other. So let's go ahead and create a dependent branch and move one of the commits over. So let's say that I want to take this background color change and I want to move it up here and go ahead and push those. Now I have two different branches. I have one branch with just these first two changes, and then I have a dependent branch. So it waits for this bottom one to be merged before I can merge the one on top of it. So I can either do that, or if it's truly an independent change, I can go ahead and just move the commit over into a secondary branch. So this gives us a lot of flexibility on how we structure our branches, if they're dependent, if they're independent, if they're applied at the same time, or if they're applied independently. So let's go ahead and remove this. And one of the last things that we can do is update from that target branch. So if you remember, we named origin main or origin master. This is upstream. Let's say that work has come in as we've been working, and we want to rebase our changes on top of that so that they're up to date. So there's this update button that will show up when there's work that is on upstream that you don't have on your branches. So if we click on that, what's really nice is it shows us what's coming in. So this shows us our incoming changes. There's this something that was merged. And we have our two applied branches here. And now we can see that one of the branches is conflicted. It has conflicts in it. The other branch is not. And so when we rebase, one of them will go into a conflicted state and the other one will be fine. So let's go ahead and update our workspace to rebase our work on top of that. Now, what GitButler does is a little bit different than what you're probably used to. It does something called fearless rebasing. So it will take any changes that conflict and it will keep them in line. So actually, let's look at another quick thing, which is the timeline. So we can undo, and let's do this differently. So the timeline is here, and this shows the history of our project. So every time we're doing anything in the project, it's recording the state of the project at that time, and we can always go back to any point. So let's go back to the point before we updated our workspace space. In fact, let's go back to before we moved the commit over. So now we're back to just having one branch with 3 commits in it, and let's try that update again. So again, there's going to be conflicts in this branch, but if we actually look at how we did this, actually, let's do something even different. Let's move this commit into the middle. And now let's try to update it. And what you'll see is that it marks that commit as conflicted. Not the commit before it and not the commit after it, just the commit that actually deals with a conflict. And not only that, it doesn't apply it. So it applies the other two. It's as though you cherry-picked the other 2 branches or the other 2 commits, and you left this one in a conflicted state and said, let's just worry about it later. So if we actually look at the code, we can see that this change is applied, this change is applied, this change is not applied. But we can go in and we can fix it. In fact, we can even keep working. So if we go in here and we create more, let's go ahead and just create a new one of these. So we can see that we've added more stuff here. And now we can go in and even commit this. Again, it just adds more commits to the top, even though we have this conflict several commits back. So now let's say, okay, I want to deal with this conflict now. I can go in, I can hit resolve conflicts. And what that will do is check out that commit, put those conflict markers in, and let me deal with them now. And if I don't want to, I can hit cancel and I can go back, right? But if I go in here and I look at this, I can see these merge conflict markers. And I can go ahead and deal with this background color change now. If this looks like too big of a deal, then I can say, you know what, actually, never mind, cancel it, and it goes back, keeps this as a conflicted change, takes those markers back out, and I can keep working and I can deal with it later. But let's go ahead and deal with it now. So now, again, it puts the conflict markers back in. I can say, here's how I want to deal with this particular background color change. Let's do make it very clear that this is what we're doing. And we save and exit. And now you can see the conflict marker is taken out, and we've fixed the background color. We've merged it together. So now I have a nice clean branch. So there's a quick overview of some of the workflows that you can do with GitButler. You can stack your branches. You can have independent virtual branches that are applied at the same time. You can rebase fearlessly and keep your stacks up to date and deal with merge conflicts whenever you want to. All of this is designed to be as simple as possible with a modern workflow. So go ahead and download GitButler, try this out, let us know what you think, and I hope you enjoy it.